Hello students and welcome to the e-learning program initiated by Shri Gyanmanjari Vidyapeeth for the students of Standard 10, in which we are learning the subject of social science. Students, this is the third lecture for chapter number 10 in geography, India, terms of agriculture. Students, we have already completed 2 lectures on this particular chapter. The first lecture was done on 30th of June and the second lecture was done on 2nd or 3rd of July. But then we had to take up chapter number 15 because on July 29th and 30th, the Gujarat Board is organizing a unit test for the subjects of maths and social science respectively for standard 10, and the syllabus taken into consideration is chapter number 1, chapter number 8 and chapter number 15. We had completed chapter number 1 and chapter number 8 and we were yet to finish chapter number 15, so we had to take up that chapter in between. So we stopped this chapter number 10 and concentrated on chapter number 15. Now students, again a gentle reminder that on 29th and 30th of July there will be maths and social science unit test. So prepare very well. Prepare for all the types of questions, that is objectives, subjective, because this is a pen and paper test, so objectives and subjectives both will be asked. So prepare accordingly. We have already completed those chapters, so it will be easier. Material is available with you. If material is not there, you can WhatsApp me so that arrangement can be made to provide you with the PDF of the material. Now let us take a quick recap of what we learned in the previous 2 lectures for chapter number 10, that is agriculture. We have learned that India is an agrarian country. Agrarian country means a country which is where the majority of the population is dependent on agriculture. We have fertile lands, we have sweet flowing rivers all over India, lots of facilities to store the river water in dams, then making canals and providing that canal water to the far off regions. Irrigational facility apart from this, that is drawing water from well and bore well, also is sufficient in many parts. So right from ancient time, agriculture has remained the most important economic activity for most of the Indians. Plus, it's a very important resource of India. If we come to numbers, then agriculture provides employment to about 60% of our labor force and contributes 22% in our GNP, that is gross national product. We also saw that agriculture is a very important natural resource because it feeds a large population and also supplies raw material for many agro-based industry. On top of it, the total foreign exchange income, 18% comes from exporting agriculture products, so we can say that India is an agrarian country. The agricultural yield, that is the return that we get from agriculture, it's because of the climate and geography. In most of the parts of India, 2 or more crops can be taken annually because we have fertile plains, we have irrigational facilities, skilled and hard-working labor, etc. Negative points are there. Farmers, they are mostly poor, uneducated, not enough facilities of irrigation, irregularity and uncertainty of rain, high population to feed, big families, smaller farms. All these are negative points. We do not use modern machinery and scientific approach because most of our farmers are poor. Educated mass, they are not interested in agriculture. In the society, agriculture is given a lower status, and that is why the per hectare production compared to the rest of the world in India, that's quite low. Then we learned about the types of farming. According to the irrigational methods, output of the farm, economic benefits, etc. These are the few parameters that classify farming into various types. There are basically 6 types of farming done in India. The first one is subsistence farming, that is done for the survival of the family. Then comes dry farming in regions where rainfall is less, irrigation facilities are not adequate. Then comes wet farming, where in regions where there is lots of rainfall, wet farming can be done. Then shifting agriculture, which is usually done on hilly areas, mountainous areas and jungle areas. Then comes plantation agriculture, which requires huge amount of land, lots of capital, lots of manual labor. That means investment, etc. That's called plantation agriculture. And the last one is intensive farming, where agriculture is done on a big piece of land. The rich farmers can afford that. On top of that, cattle rearing, fish rearing, all these activities are done. And more than one crop is taken on a rotational basis. That's called intensive farming, where modern methods of farming are used, tools and equipments, the seeds used for growing, all of them, they are quite modern and have a scientific approach. That's called intensive farming. Then we learned about the farming methods. In that, the first one we learned is organic farming, which is done without using chemical fertilizer, chemical urea, insecticide. That means natural type of farming is done using natural elements like cow dung, manure, etc. Next one we learned is sustainable farming, that is used by techniques that protect the environment, public health, animal welfare. That is known as sustainable farming. That means it lasts for a long time. The third one we saw that was mixed farming, where apart from agriculture, on that same farm, cattle rearing, poultry, sericulture, fishery, etc. is done. So that is called mixed farming. Need for organic farming, because we give lots of chemical fertilizer, pesticide, urea to the crop. So that mixes with the crop, that mixes with the soil. That is the food that we eat, that is laced with chemicals. It goes into our body, it harms us, it harms the environment, pollutes the soil. So there is a need for organic farming, and by doing organic farming, the natural taste, sweetness, aroma, all of that is maintained, rich in that is rich in minerals, vitamins, and life energizing elements. Till here we learned. Now let us go ahead with today's lecture. Now, first thing that we are going to see is, if India is an agrarian country, then what are the products, agricultural products that are produced in India? So, agricultural products of India is the topic that we are going to start today. In that we are going to learn crops according to season, because we all know that whole of India, where agriculture is concerned, where the life system is concerned, we are a monsoon country. That means we are dependent on monsoon. So, on the basis of our seasons, we can divide the agricultural crops of India into three categories. First one is Kharif crop, the next one is Rabi crop, and the third one is Zaid crop. So, the crop is taken according to the seasons, and when we take crop according to season, they fall under a particular category, whether that's a Kharif crop, whether that's a Rabi crop, or whether that's a Zaid crop. Now let us see in detail. Now the first one is Kharif crop. It is also called monsoon crop. So these are objectives. What is a monsoon crop? Yes, so you should know that's a Kharif crop. If it is a monsoon crop, then crops which are grown during rainy season, they are called Kharif crop. These crops are grown from June or July to October or November. The farmers, they start preparing the soil, they start working with the soil slowly, right from the month of April, May, they start tilling the soil, they start prepare the soil, and when the monsoon season is approaching, when they know after 10, 15 days, 20 days, the rain is going to start, at that time they start sowing the seeds, burying the seeds deep in the soil, and then wait for the rain to come. Right? So, we know 1st of June, that is the date of arrival in Kerala for the monsoon in India. By 15-20 days, it spreads all over India. So, that is the time the seeds get water and they start growing. So, these crops are grown from June or July according to the time of arrival of the rainy season in that particular part of India. And so, if it is in June, then June, July, August, September, October, that is 5 months the crop takes to grow properly and give us fruits, that is the harvest. So, if it is growing in July, starts growing in July, then it will be November, 5 months later. That means in October or November you take the harvest. By then the crop is ready. Now, which are the crops that are taken during monsoon season? Paddy. Paddy means rice. The crop of rice is called paddy, and the field which grows rice is called paddy field. So, paddy, maize, jowar, millet, cotton, til, groundnut, moong, mathaniya, matar are Kharif crops. I am repeating again, paddy, that means rice, then maize, that is the doda that you eat, right? Jowar, that is bajra. Millet, millet is a group of 3 crop, that is millet is a group of coarse grain, there is jowar, rajra, all that falls under millet. Then cotton, that you know, til, the til oil that we get, groundnut, that is moongfali, moong, mat, they are pulses. These are Kharif crops which are taken from the starting of the monsoon season, and the harvest is done at the end of the season, that is October or November. So that is, they are called Kharif crops. The next crop is winter crop, which is called Rabi crop. हिंदी में उसको रबी बोलते हैं. Crops which are grown during winter are called Rabi crops. Important to keep in mind the duration of Rabi crops. They are grown from October, November to March and April. if you start sowing in October, then October, November, December, January, February and March. These crops usually take 6 months to harvest. From growing to sowing to harvest, it takes usually 6 months. If you start in November, then it will go up till April. That means as soon as monsoon is over, the soil is moist with water, the temperature comes down, because October usually is the starting of the winter season. Mild winter sets in usually all the parts, that is north, northwest, central area. It starts becoming cold. The season changes. So there are some crops which grow only in this cold season. That is why they are called Rabi crops. It has two meaning also. That first one is it's a winter crop. It needs cold climate. Second thing, that these crops cannot grow in monsoon season. That means these crops will not survive. The plants will not survive when there is too much water in the fields. Or they cannot even survive in the summer season. They will dry up. So they need lots of moisture present inside the ground, plus on the top they need cold climate. That is the best season that these crops grow. Now let us see which are the crops that are growing in Rabi crops. Wheat, gehu, gram, chana, barley. It's a type of seed. Mustard, that is rye, linseed. All these are Rabi crops. Now the third type of crop is the Zaid crop, or which is also called summer crop, because it is grown during the season of summer. Crops which are grown during summer, they are called Zaid crops. The timing of the year in which they are grown is from March to June, when it is the peak summer season. That means these crops, they need a lot of heat to grow, plus water also. Now paddy. We'll learn later that paddy needs lots of water. Then how can it grow in summer season? Now in hilly areas, mountainous areas, for example the northeast, West Bengal, rain keeps on happening throughout the year, right? In more or less quantity. So paddy can be taken in these areas, plus the most irrigated deltas, naturally irrigated deltas, like South Indian rivers, Mahanadi, Godavari, Krishna, Kaveri. All these rivers, the deltas form where the river is emptying itself into the Bay of Bengal. The delta is formed, triangular shape. So there you can grow paddy. Though the timing is quite the peak of the summer, that is March to June, then also we can grow. But the rest of the country, it is facing quite a severe summer season with temperatures ranging anywhere from 30-35 degrees to 45 degrees. So in those temperatures, maize, groundnut, till, millet and fruits like watermelon, cucumber, musk, melon, etc., they are all Zaid crops. Now let us have a bird's eye view of all the major agricultural crops that are grown in India, all different types of crops that are growing in India. They are divided into 8 categories. Out of that, 4 you can see on the screen. They are food grains, pulses, oilseeds, beverages. Then we have cash crops, condiments, fruits, vegetables. So these are the major agricultural crops of India. I am repeating again: food grains, pulses, oilseeds, beverages, cash crops, condiments, fruits, vegetables. Now, under these 8 categories, whichever category we are talking about, for example, food grain, then what are the different types of food grains that are grown? So, let us have a quick review of all the 8 categories, and in those 8 categories, which are the crops that fall into that category and are grown in India. For example, food grains and paddy, that is rice, wheat, jua, millet, maize, barley. These are the food crops. जिससे रोटी चपाती बनती है, different food delicacies are made. So that is the food grains out of which flour is made and different varieties are made. Then we come to pulses, जिससे हम दाल बनाते हैं. तूर दाल, मूंग दाल, gram, that is चना, peas, that is मटर, bean, that is राजमा, etc. जो राजमा, वाल, जो अलग अलग टाइप के बीन्स आते हैं. मठ, उड़द, these are the different pulses जिससे हम दाल बनाते हैं, जिसको गुजराती में कठोल बोलते हैं. So that is pulses. Then we come to oil seeds. It grows in the form of seeds, but then it is crushed, and in the factories, mills, they are crushed and oil is extracted from those seeds. Then they are called oil seeds. Groundnut, that is मूंगफली, तिल, that is तल, सोया बीन, castor, जिसको हम एरंडा या एरेडिया बोलते हैं, मस्टर्ड, दैट मीन्स राई, राई का सरसों, दैट इज कॉल्ड मस्टर्ड, सरसों, जिससे हम राई बनाते हैं और राई का तेल होता है, उसको सरसों का तेल बोलते हैं. सो सनफ्लावर ऑयल वी यूज़, कोकोनट, लिंसेड. लिंसेड मीन्स अरसी बोलते हैं गुजराती में, अरसी का तेल बोलते हैं, या लिंसेड ऑयल इज in English. Some places it's also called sarasu, it is that tail. So these are all the oil seeds. Beverages, tea, coffee, cocoa, these are beverages that are grown in India. Next we come to cash crop. Yes, we all understand the meaning of cash crops. 500 की नोट, 2000 की नोट उस पेड़ पे पौधे पे उगती है, these are called cash crops. Cotton, sugarcane, jute, tobacco, rubber. Cash crop means where even before you take the harvest, the market is ready to absorb whatever you have produced. They're called cash crops. It's quite in demand and easily sold off, fetching the farmer instant money. That's why they're called cash crops. Cotton, sugarcane. We know cotton is used for cotton textiles, so lots in demand. Sugarcane is used for producing sugar, so lots in demand. Jute is also in demand for making lots of jute products. Tobacco, rubber extensively used in all the mechanical parts, electronic parts, tires are made, so constantly in demand, so it's readily sold. That's why they're called cash crops. Condiments. Now there is a difference between condiments and spices. We'll learn later. So right now, cumin seeds, fennel seeds, isabgol, coriander, fenugreek, ajwain or ajmo that we say, black pepper, garlic. These are all the condiments. Condiments are added for taste or flavor. So that is the difference between condiments and spices. Here a few examples are given. There are lots and lots of spices, especially growing in Kerala, Tamil Nadu, mostly in South India. There's Karnataka, Andhra, lots of spices grow. Spices also grow in other hot and humid areas of India. Few examples are given over here, but we have still more of them. Same way fruits. Hundreds of fruits grow. Here few are mentioned: mango, banana, chiku, papaya, grapes, jujube, apple, guava. Vegetables also, lots and lots of vegetables are grown. Yes, some of the examples are given: potato, brinjal, onion, bottle gourd, that is dudi, turia, lady's finger, cabbage, cauliflower, spinach, etc. These are the vegetables that are grown. Now we'll be learning all these different types of agricultural products, the main one by one. Now we come to first the crops, the main grain crops of India. In that we are going to learn paddy. Students, paddy, the question of the main crop of India, that is paddy. It's a complete 4-mark question. It's quite long, lengthy, so better keep your attention over here. Paddy or rice. Paddy is the country's most important crop. Next thing to remember is majority of the world population and about half of India's population, they use rice. Majority of the world's population, right? That means China, the most populous country in the world, India, the second largest, तो दो तो यही हो गए, उसके बाद बचा क्या? Right, so majority of the world population and about half of India, they eat rice. So rice is a very important food grain crop. This is important, please underline that. In terms of paddy production, India stands second in the world after China. That means China is the largest producer of rice in the world. India is at the second place, producing quite a good amount of rice in the world. In terms of how much area is occupied by rice growing, that is, paddy is sown over 1/4 of our total sown area. Now please understand what is the meaning of sown area. We do not count the complete land of India. We just count the total agriculturable land, arable land in India, where sowing, growing, reaping the harvest is done. That is the total sown area. Out of that, 1/4, that means 25% is occupied by paddy. Next line is also important. Paddy is a crop of torrid zone. This we are talking about the heat zones that you learnt in the earlier standards. The world is divided into 3 heat zones: torrid zone, temperate zone and frigid zone. Out of that, torrid zone, that means equator, Tropic of Cancer at bottom, Tropic of Capricorn. That is the area where this crop is taken, because rice needs lots of heat, lots of humidity, lots of water. That is available in plenty in the torrid zone. Very, very important, a must point to be written where paddy is asked. It needs hot and humid climate. Hot, you understand, where temperature is quite high. Then humid, that means lots of moisture should be present in the atmosphere. Now where is that available? It is usually available near the sea coast areas. It's mostly found in the southern region, that is Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Andhra, Orissa, West Bengal, and most of the 7 sisters, that is northeast states. So there mostly rice is grown. Apart from that, rice can also be grown where water availability is quite high, but usually it needs hot and humid climate. Minimum temperature is also given. That means 20 degrees centigrade is the minimum requirement of paddy crop. That means if the temperature is below 20 degrees centigrade, then at that place paddy cannot grow. That means paddy can be grown in areas where snow falls. In cold climate, it cannot grow. And more than 100 centimeters of rainfall are necessary for good production of paddy. At least 100. Now, you have learned that in 9th standard, the different areas of India where starting from Kerala, that is about 200 below 400 centimeter. Then you come to Maharashtra, that is almost 200 centimeter. Then you come to Gujarat, that is 100 centimeter. So whole of India's map you must have seen in 9th standard textbook. So minimum 100 meter. If you have more than that, that's very good. But then minimum 100 centimeter rainfall should be received by that area. Then it's good for the crop to grow. Now, how does the crop grow? Large amount of water is needed to grow paddy, and it needs to be grown in water. That means the paddy crop, while it is growing, it should be submerged in water. That means it grows in water. That means the depth of the field should be a little bit deep. And till the cell of the top of the farm, whole of the field should be filled with water. Then it's very, very good for the paddy crop to grow. For quite a long time, the paddy saplings that are growing, it remains under the water. That means the field has to be full with water, and that can happen only in those places where there is lots and lots of rainfall. So that during the rainy season, the field remains full with water, then you'll get a very, very good healthy rice crop. However, instead of keeping the paddy fields fully under water, paddy is grown by irrigating through sprinklers to save water. Now in places where such a lot of water or rainfall is not available, then all you need to do is keep the saplings of the paddy crop wet. So sprinklers are used. So day and night paddy crop के ऊपर sprinkle करता है water, and the plants they remain wet, and that is how they grow very healthy. So lots of water is needed. Second important thing, lots of manual labor is required in growing paddy. Now producing states. Before we start that, let me tell you, जिस स्टेट का नाम पहले आता है, that is the largest producer of that particular crop, and that will be in ascending order. For example, we are talking about producing paddy, states that are producing paddy. Now we are talking about North India. Then in North India, if Punjab is the first state mentioned, that means Punjab is the largest producer of paddy in northern states. 3 states in north which produce rice is Punjab, Haryana and Uttar Pradesh, where there is lots of availability of water, because 5 big rivers are flowing, lots of irrigational facilities are available. Government provides them with urea, chemical fertilizers. So not only the climate, but irrigational facilities plus additional facilities are provided. So in North India, Punjab, Haryana and Uttar Pradesh, this crop is taken through irrigation. Very important thing, paddy cultivation requires more manpower because it takes a long time, and the plant needs to be submerged in water till they grow. So, and then after they grow, then they have to be put in a line to grow. So lots of manual work is needed over here. So lots of people get employment in the paddy fields. Next producing state, major, that means West Bengal comes at number 1. Number 2 is Tamil Nadu. Number 3 is Andhra. Andhra is now divided into Andhra Pradesh and Telangana, so Telangana comes next. Bihar, Orissa, they are the major paddy producing states in the country. So the largest producer of paddy in the country is West Bengal. Then comes Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, Bihar, Orissa, in that way, descending order. Now another point is given, producing states. Some of these states, they receive Retreating monsoon also, that you have learnt in the previous standard, 9th standard, that approaching monsoon, that is the monsoon season, and when monsoon season is going out of India, that is retreating monsoon. Some states, they receive another season of rain, that is the retreating monsoon season. So the states which receive retreating monsoon also, they can grow crops 2 times or 3 times in a year, because all the year round they are getting rain. So those states are West Bengal, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Odisha, Tamil Nadu. They take 2 to 3 crops of paddy every year. Uttar Pradesh, because Ganga, Yamuna and all the Himalayan rivers, they pass through Uttar Pradesh, making the soil quite rich, fertile, lots of availability of water. That is why they grow more, or they take more crops of paddy. The next food grain crop that we are going to learn today is wheat. After rice, wheat is the second most important crop of our country after paddy. Underline, it grows over 1/3 area of arable land of India, more than rice. Rice occupies 1/4 of the total net sown area, whereas wheat, it occupies 1/3 area of arable land of India. Arable, which can be where agriculture can be done, that's called arable land. Yes, rice is the staple diet or the main grain food of the South India and the Northeast India. Same way, wheat is the staple diet of the people living in the northern India and in the western India. For example, Gujarat, Maharashtra, leke MP, Rajasthan, Upar Punjab, Haryana, all these areas in UP, Bihar, mostly wheat is eaten, right? So wheat is the staple diet of the North and the West India. Wheat is now cultivated with mechanized methods. However, hence it can now be produced with less labor. Wheat is also equally a crop which requires more labor, but nowadays more mechanized farming is done, which cannot be done in rice, but it can be done in wheat, because wheat does not require that much water. It needs water, but not that much like rice. And so mechanized farming can be done, so it becomes speedier, so you need less number of labors, so it's quite cheaper. After the Green Revolution, the wheat production has almost doubled. Now we all know about the Green Revolution, and if we are not knowing it, I'll just explain that in brief. That when India got independence, we did not produce enough food grains that can satisfy the demand of the population. So we needed to increase the production of food grains. Now, how was that to be done? The government introduced a 5-year plan, and they kept a target that in these 5 years we will be doing this, and at the end of 5 years we will be increasing the production of food grains so that we satisfy the demand. We don't have to stretch our hands outside for help. So that is what we did. We set up chemical plants where chemical fertilizers were grown, pesticides were grown in the laboratories. High yielding seeds were grown, and that were given to the farmers at quite a low cost. Lots of irrigation facility was given to them. After such a lot of hard work from the same field, now the farmers of Punjab, Haryana and Western Uttar Pradesh, they were able to grow more, and this is how we turned the tables totally towards production of food grains. That is limited to the wheat crop in the starting, then we did the same thing with the rice crop, that is paddy also, but that was termed as Green Revolution, where we produced enough to satisfy the demand of the population. That means we did not have to beg from outside. So after the Green Revolution, the wheat production has almost doubled. Now the favorable conditions. Wheat is a rabi crop of the temperate zone. That means temperate zone we just discussed. Torrid zone, quite hot near the equator. Torrid zone के ऊपर आता है temperate zone, that means not so hot, not so cold. So that is the basic requirement of wheat. It doesn't require too much heat, it requires a little bit of cold or cool climate. It requires black or fertile loamy soil and more than 75 centimeters of annual rainfall. 100 नहीं होगा तो चलेगा. That means wheat can grow in areas where there is less rainfall, but 75 is minimum. It requires black soil, which is very good for growing cotton also. Then it needs fertile loamy soil which can soak water and has lots of space between particles so that it gives enough space for the roots of the wheat plant to grow. And when once water is given, it can retain water, store water for a longer time. So that type of soil is available in western Uttar Pradesh, the whole of Uttar Pradesh, Bihar and Punjab, Haryana, some parts of Rajasthan, some parts of Gujarat, Maharashtra. So all these places we grow wheat. If proper irrigation facility is available, then wheat can also grow in regions having lesser rainfall. What it needs is not rain, but it needs water. So if rainfall is not sufficient, then if irrigation facilities are available, that means canals, wells, tube wells, which pump out the water from underground. If those facilities are there, then also you can grow wheat crop. Wheat cannot be grown in areas receiving more than 100 centimeter rainfall because that will be too much of water, and then the wheat plant will not survive in too much of water. It needs very less water, right? It needs the ground, top of the ground to at most dry. So if the water is filled in the field, then it will dry up the wheat plant. So above 100 centimeter rainfall, we cannot grow wheat. That is the limitation of the wheat crop. Now, which are the producing states? In India, wheat cultivation is carried out mostly in Punjab, Haryana and Western Uttar Pradesh. Western Uttar Pradesh, that means which falls in the half of UP, that is towards Delhi side, that's called Western Uttar Pradesh. Maximum output of wheat is got from there. Now, if we consider the total output of India as far as the wheat crop is considered, if we consider that 100%, out of that 2/3, that is 66% of that production of wheat is done by these three states, that is Punjab, Haryana and Western Uttar Pradesh. Why? Because there are very good irrigational facilities in these states, and hence per hectare production of these states is quite high. We know Punjab, that means the land of 5 rivers. So lots of water coming down from the Himalayas is available over there. Lots of canals are built, dams are built over there. So those areas do not have the scarcity of water for crops. So sufficient amount of water is available in these states, and that is why per hectare, we have learned what is hectare. Hectare means 100 meters by 100 meter field, that is called 1 hectare. So per hectare yield that is got from Punjab, Haryana and Western Uttar Pradesh is quite high compared to rest of the regions of India. Now, Punjab, as we just discussed, is a land of 5 rivers, Punjab. So there is a very strong canal network, and hence wheat is produced in abundance, that is quite a huge quantity, and that is why Punjab is known as the wheat ball of India. Yes, Punjab is the state which produces the maximum wheat, that is why it's called the wheat ball of India. Try to find out through internet what is the wheat ball of, where is the wheat ball of the world. Apart from Punjab, Haryana and Western Uttar Pradesh, wheat is also produced in Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Gujarat, Maharashtra, West Bengal. Wherever good quality soil is there, the land is drained by the rivers, fertile soil is available, irrigation facilities are available, then rainfall is less than 75 centimeters, then you can grow wheat. In Gujarat, there is a particular region which falls near the Bhavnagar district, that is Bhal region of Gujarat. A special variety of wheat that is known as Bhalia wheat or Bhalia corn is produced. Now, in Gujarat, wheat is also produced in Mehsana district, Rajkot district, Junagadh, Kheda, Bhavnagar district also. So lots of districts which receive less than 100 centimeter rainfall and which have good irrigational facilities, they can grow wheat. Now, uses of wheat, just like rice. Wheat is also a 4-mark question, quite lengthy one. Wheat is the most nutritious of all grains. Hence, it is considered the best food grain among all the food grains used in our daily meal. Now, lots of food items are made from wheat, like roti, bhakri, sev, shiro, lapsi, laddu, sukri, bread, puri, cake, biscuits. All of them are prepared from wheat. Owing to all these reasons, wheat is called, underline, king of grains. What is the king of grains? Wheat is the king of grains. Now, this is a separate question. Give a reason. Punjab is known as the wheat bowl of India. We have already learned that. Punjab is a land of 5 rivers. So, there is a very strong canal water network. These rivers and canals put together provide very good irrigation facilities in Punjab, and that is why per hectare production of Punjab is quite good, which allows the state to produce the highest quantity of wheat. All these reasons have taken Punjab to number 1 position in wheat production, and that is why Punjab is known as the wheat bowl of India. So students, we stop over here for the day. We conclude our today's lecture. As usual, you'll be getting an assignment in the form of PDF along with this video, and please keep on preparing for the unit test which is going to be conducted on 29th and 30th of this month, that is July month. Thank you, students.